All right.
Welcome in to the Two Timers.
Yeah, if we had a good little audio dub there.
Welcome back, fellas.
What's up, boys?
The little recap always gets me going.
Yeah.
We're drinking
Speaking of
from Mets
recaps,
tonight.
we'll hop right into both our guest and a different sport, which is a recap. But we happen to have a couple of playoff individuals on the call tonight. We've got, obviously, Chris Maresco, and then we have a bird enthusiast, Mr. Kevin Wegman.
What's going on, guys?
A little bit of Mets-Phillies action tonight. How are you guys feeling?
Not really too enthused. I'm not a Phillies fan. I just Eagles. So I mean, hope for the. Don't really. It doesn't matter to me.
Excellent. That's good.
Yeah.
Wait, why are you an Eagles fan?
So growing up, I really liked running quarterbacks, and Washington wasn't the best, and didn't really fit that mold, and so kind of got on the McNabb bandwagon and never got off.
Josh, what the heck are you doing over there?
Yeah,
Really
you cooking
struggling.
some meth over there? What are you doing?
Trying to. Oh, it worked. Get the plastic off the bottle. Sorry. Keep going.
Nice. That makes sense. That's basically the same reason I'm a
kinda
Packers
always
fan
had
because of Favre. So
They kind of always had running quarterbacks when you think about it, so it's like it was a good fit.
Are you just drinking straight from the bottle?
Yeah.
We're going to get a news article. Warrington man blows up house, dies in house fire. Fantasy team in shambles.
With bottle of liquor in his hands.
What are you
Well, yeah,
are you drinking out of your bottle?
Starlight.
Well,
Bourbon.
it's been a tough week for Josh.
Is it because of Brees Hall?
Yeah, it was rough. It's been really rough.
It's all right. Salah's gone. You're good.
Yeah, that's going to fix the offense. Very often.
Speaking of
Yeah.
Brees Hall, let's go into matchups. Not Brees Hall necessarily. Josh, you're choppy on my end. Is that just me or is that everyone?
I didn't notice him being choppy, to be honest.
It's the bad
That's
weather,
my
but
question.
it's already coming.
I know. It's bound to impact things.
All right.
But yeah, we can get into recaps. Sorry, slow start today. We can get into recaps. We'll kind of get our guests' opinions on recaps as we go through here as well. Maybe we don't need to talk too long about this one, but Maresco, I'll give it to you first.
We'll spend a solid 10 minutes delving into this one.
Yeah.
Let's go through each individual player. No, but Clark, how do you feel post-trade about your team post-loss to me?
Well, those are two different things. I feel good about my team post-trade. Post-loss to you, I don't feel great. I honestly think that this matchup – I mean, I don't know how you feel about your team this week, but I didn't think it was the most impressive performance, obviously, by either of our teams. I was pretty disappointed by Debo, if I'm honest. I thought if Debo had an okay game, I would be, competitive. And if he had a semi-normal game, I think this game would have been pretty close.
Right.
So the Debo thing was frustrating because I thought I'd get reliable production from him.
Yeah, that's fair. No, honestly, after Josh Allen put up 12 points, I didn't think I was going to win. But I mean, I'm happy with my Hunt pickup, obviously, because he's the lead back now and he's taking command of the field, which is sweet to have a third back in the mix. But then when Groupie missed the extra point, I was like, oh shit, Clark's still in this. So
I was rooting so hard for a fumble down the stretch of that game.
yeah, no, I mean, I'm happy with some of it's kind of been what my team's been doing all year. That was like one to two of my players have terrible weeks, and the rest kind of carry the rest of the team. But I mean, I would have lost to I think 9 teams in the league this week, so it's all based on matchups too. So it's one of those things. But back to your team with post trade, I've given Jonesy a lot of flack this week because I think you got the better side of the trade personally. Joshy disagrees, I think. So
No, I agree with Maresco on that.
I think it was a 3 for 1.5 trade. Personally, that's like how I looked at the trade. Like I think Jefferson, and I think Rachaad White is like he's in a split backfield, so he's half a person basically. And then I don't believe in Justin Fields personally, so but I think you won that trade. We'll see as the season goes.
Well, I mean, obviously, my thinking with the trade, one was just to have fun. Like fantasy's about having fun. I think trades make it like keep the league interesting, and it gives like Jones and I were talking about this. Kind of gives us like a fresh perspectives on our teams, like have new guys to root for on a weekly basis. I mean, it might be obvious. I did the trade to kind of stabilize my team because I really was struggling at quarterback. Justin Jefferson was playing in England and then going on bye. And Justin Jefferson hasn't had any explosive games yet. I think he will. But then my running back situation was really, really, really thin. So I just kind of decided I need more depth at running back and kind of a more stable team altogether, which I actually don't feel that bad about my team right now. Obviously, I didn't do great this week. But I'm curious, Josh, you kind of are on the flip side of the trade. You like Jonesy's side of the trade then?
I mean, I thought it was even. I don't think it necessarily swayed one way or the other. Yeah, that was my initial thoughts. I mean, I think, we could sit here and sort of like debate it all day, but I felt like across the board it was pretty even. But time will tell.
Time will tell.
So
obviously Jefferson's the best part of that trade, right? Like the best player in that trade. I think Montgomery is one of the he's been one of the most consistent backs over the last year and a half. Like he scores points every week. He scores a touchdown every week. So it's like one of those things. But basically giving up Stroud for Fields. That's a win in your side of the trade. Like
I mean, but they were pretty comparable this week, weren't they? I think Fields was probably a little lower, but like Stroud wasn't anything insane this week.
Yeah.
I mean,
Fields could be the second coming of Geno Smith, but I'm not optimistic on that. I think he'll be exposed at some point, and yeah.
I did see that Maresco picked up Russell Wilson, so a little Fields handicap over there.
I ended up dropping him today. I needed a roster spot. If he stayed out, I would have kept him in my IR.
Well, I think we're getting hung up on this matchup plus the trade, but like Fields and Josh, you and I had this conversation a lot prior to your and my trade for Wicks and Fields.
Yeah,
like, I feel like Fields is a very risky play because he's a rushing quarterback that could be really good, but then he's also a quarterback that is a few games away from potentially losing his job as well. So it's like kind of how fantasy rolls, I guess, but it's a risky one.
Yeah, I felt like if Fields, the QB situation was more stabilized in Pittsburgh, I feel like I could have gotten more for Fields, but I felt like, I was open and honest with you about the risks, so we kind of discussed that.
Time will tell. Time will tell what Jones and his trade looks like. We can kind of circle back to that in next week's matchups. It's going into David and Hannah. David finally getting a solid win.
Yeah, he broke the 100-point mark. Let's give him a round of applause for that. His boy Kyler showed up. His boy Ayuk showed up. And then his running back pickups, Sermon and Tracy, sneaky backup running back pickups were good. I mean, both of them produced this week for him, obviously. And then Hannah had a tough week with Barkley and Adams out. They're like two studs, both with Adams hurt and Barkley on a bye. But it feels like Hannah's team is either boom or bust this year. Like she either puts up a good amount of points or puts up like a very low amount of points. But I think the biggest thing, obviously, was in the chat. Darnold came back to earth this week. But
Looking a little more Sam Darnold-esque.
still got the win. But yeah, didn't have a great passing week or had no touchdowns. Had more incompletions than completions. But DK not putting up points. Elliott's just not doing much in Dallas. He's just seems like he's over the hill. But Kittle, it's got to be nice to see Kittle putting up those kind of points and then Kansas City defense. But yeah, just a tough week with your two best players out. So congrats to Dave on getting his second win and putting up some points finally.
Yeah, real happy for Dave after his last week. I played him. I definitely did not deserve that win. So I'm happy he was able to bounce back.
Oh, Clark.
Yeah, it chose poorly. It's okay. If you're Hannah at this point, are you looking to make moves? Like Weggy, if you were managing Hannah's team, would you be trying to make trades and moves right now, or are you trying to ride out kind of your core guys here?
I have to see the bench.
Let me see if I can find
I know
bench,
some people might have been on bye, but I mean, their squad's pretty solid. I don't know too much about.
She's got Barkley and Devontae.
Devontae and Barkley are on
Barkley's
bye.
going to put up huge numbers, pretty consistent every week.
She
And
also-
Devontae, hopefully, for her sake, gets traded to some contender because I don't think Minshew's it. But I mean, yeah, I'd wait it out a little bit. I think she's just getting the buys out of the way. I think her team's pretty decent.
I think she had won her previous two matchups, so
She did.
Just a rough week.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't.
No,
I
she's
guess
in
we
eighth-
can look
she's-
at standings later.
she's
I
in
think
eighth.
it's outside.
8th place.
Not quite fire sale, Ben, but maybe. We'll get to Waggy's team in a second when we talk about it.
On to Matt and Ben's matchup. I mean, Ben just keeps getting the best player in the league matchup. He's getting the Clark special this year, I feel like, with his matchups. But, I mean, Matt's team came alive this week. Obviously, we've talked about this all year. If Burrow and Chase go off, his team's looking good, and they put up almost 80 points, the two of them. And then got a good week from Cook and his kicker and defense, which carried the rest of his team. But 150 points is always good. And then Ben's team, Mooney, massive game, and Baker, another really good week. Baker, I think it's QB 2 or 3 this year right now in fantasy, which is I think
let's
actually in the NFL too. So like his team put up some good points. He had some duds obviously from Marvin Harrison again, and some of his backs hurt. Like Bijan's just not putting up the numbers that you would expect for the amount of money you put up on him. But you hope he kind of has some of those bigger games coming up. But I think Ben's like he's a sneaky 1-4 team because he has so many points forward right now. So if he just wins, he's I think 1 place out of 7th place. So it's like so early in the season. So just if he gets some wins under his belt, he's moving up pretty fast. So, but good to see Matt's team finally take off this year.
Yeah, that stack is pretty potent.
Yeah, it is.
Oh man,
Resco
what a dummy!
out on a limb with Ben.
Try to get a breakaway there.
Jason
Come on,
Burrow.
Ben.
Love to see it.
I mean, I don't know what 111 would have given him this week, but I have a feeling that would have beat a good chunk of the teams in the league.
Yep.
So Ben's had a couple of weeks, like you said, points against, but a couple of weeks where he would have beat almost everyone except for the team that he's playing. So
And here's the did you guys already cover? Sorry if I missed it. Points against Ben, 618, I think, the highest
That is.
in the league. Yep.
yeah, Maresco mentioned that. That's insane.
I think he has like
That-
he's probably top 6, 7 for points forward too.
Yeah.
Well, isn't he pretty high on the list of like rivals that Dave sends out at the beginning of the year? Like people that people want to beat. Teams are just showing up to play against Ben. They just don't want him to win.
Yep.
Yeah, it's not a fun feeling. Lots of points against. I will say before we get into this recap, Weggy, you probably caught in some crap for your name changes or whatever, but I think they're quite on point in terms of tracking with other poorly performing teams and the picture as well. I'm entertained.
Thank you. At least somebody is.
Was I spelled collusion based on mine and Josh's trade? Is that what the whole thing was?
It's Ben's rename.
Ben,
I know, but was that Ben's rename based on mine and Josh's trade?
I thought he sold his team name for some fab, didn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
I
I'm wondering
paid
where
a
that team
dollar.
name came
I
from.
paid $1 to because it was some text chain we were on, and he was talking about either my trade or me leveraging Ryan's potential trade offer in our trade talk last week on Two Timers. That it was kind of collusion-y. So I just threw something out there and gave him $1, and he changed it.
Nice.
Weggy with the follow-up change.
Nice. I like it.
Yep.
Nice. Nice. All right. Well, on to Weggy's matchup. Weggy, we'll get into some questions for you right after this. But, I mean, obviously Tyreek's having a rough year with Tua going out. But it's got to be nice to see T putting up some good points. And then your two backs putting up some solid points. But Leggett going out in the second quarter obviously hurt. He looked like he was going to be wide out one. But you were playing the top team in the league. And even with some down players from him, when Lamar puts up 40 points, it's hard to beat. So, like, a QB puts up that many points. And then Tucker obviously hurt. Like, that was a sneaky pickup by Ryan to plug Tucker in that 2-touchdown game. So, and then kicker and defense putting up 30 points. So, I think Ryan would beat every team except 2 other teams. So, it's one of those weeks. But your team outperformed your projections by quite a bit. But how are you feeling right now based on, like, where you're at, your team? Are you kind of like back to the question we asked about Hannah's team? Like, are you thinking about selling?
I'm feeling like I'm getting all the buys that way. So I think Tyreek has a buy this week, and obviously Hurts had a buy last week, and then I think Kyron has one this coming week. So I'm like getting all my good players around, getting the buys out of the way, and then I think hopefully Tua comes back. I have him on my bench, and then I can start making a run if I need to. If freaking AJ Brown doesn't want to stay healthy for Hurts. But I mean, and then obviously Mark Andrews, like, I was like, he's something else for this season. It was like, you have the dark horse players that like underperform, and he's like the freaking guy who's usually pretty consistent. He's been god awful all year, and so like, I was texting Ryan too prior to our matchup, and we were saying how like, I know the difference. He has Pitts, who obviously always underperforms. He's like, I know Pitts is going to go off this week. It's going to be the difference between our matchups, and obviously Kraft performed well and is even better than him, so it didn't even matter. But I was between Leggett and I have Keon Coleman on my bench, and I was like, I bet one of them is going to be the difference. And luckily, neither of them were. He still wiped the floor with me. So
yeah, the Keon's like been so hit or miss.
Yeah, I thought he was going to be a little better.
When we played, he put up his dud, I think.
He seems like a Gabe Davis 2.0 to me.
Yeah. The Andrew starts to watch, to be honest. Like, being his owner for the last 3 years. Like,
yeah.
I love, like, he carried my team, right?
Right.
I wanted him back on my team, but
I know you did, and I was like, I had to outbid you for him this year. Oh my god, 1 year he fell off the cliff.
All right. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean, and Ryan's team is just kind of filthy right now.
Right.
I think he might hit some rough patches soon, but at the moment, everything's
he
kind
put
of clicking.
Put up all those points. He didn't even have Neighbors or Devontae in his team or Dobbins playing. Like, it's like
unbelievable.
I mean, it helps to have Lamar. Helps to have Lamar in contexts like this, and a savvy play with Kraft. So,
and it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know what Devon's injury is, but it didn't look very good. Was it just a concussion? I thought he had worse than that.
I saw, because I have a vested interest in this, because I have Wright. I don't think it's supposed to be that serious of an injury. So,
okay,
we'll see.
It looked bad when he came off the field.
Little Dan Joshy matchup. Joshy, got anything to say for yourself?
I exceeded expectations for myself.
Yeah, I agree.
Hold up. What is it, the Washington Redskins? Get destroyed in the game. We exceeded expectations. We're doing great.
It was his bipocalypse, bro.
This
man had everyone on the bench.
Yeah.
Like,
so now Resco's defending him. What is the two timers become?
No. I was going through the recaps, and I was like, oh, it's kind of impressive. Josh put up 110 points this week.
Yeah.
Looking at who he had out.
I anticipated putting up 80, maybe, this week. It looked a little bleak for me.
Your Denver snag helped you quite a bit.
It did. Yeah, that $10 fab I put in for Denver, I feel like was worth it.
And McLaughlin went off.
Yeah.
Well, I want to give Dan props. If you look at his team besides Zach Ertz, this might be the most solid performance of a fantasy team this year.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
every
across the
player
board.
was very good this week, like consistent wise. If that makes sense. So, I was
Okay, let's
giving
be honest though. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was giving Dan flack because I feel like he's living or dying by Jaden Daniels and Brian Robinson. But then I looked at his team this week and I was like, oh, everyone.
And he
performed.
could have put up more points. I think he had Kirk on his bench. Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, he does. He does. I will say though, like, I'm not going to give Dan too much credit as a fantasy owner because I'm not positive here. I think the historical data would back this up. Dan historically is a big homer, and he loves Washington players. Right now, Washington just happens to be good, and his fantasy team is the Washington
That's true.
Commanders,
That's true.
I guess.
Essentially.
So, like,
or former.
props that Washington's playing well, but like, kind of what it is.
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, the rest. I think he had most. Like if
No.
Johnny's off his bench actually.
Last year or the year before, he had 3 Eagles on his team, and I kept calling him an Eagles fan. So that's not always been.
That's true. Just hopping through NFC East teams, hoping
Yeah,
one
exactly.
sticks. Josh, I don't think any of us believed in your team, including yourself.
Including myself, yeah.
We'll see. Bounce back post buys. Now we get to not Weggy's team, the other team that looks like Weggy's team, or used to. The Mike and Natalie.
I'm actually really glad Weggy changed his team because it was so confusing. But Micah. I don't really have much to say about Mike's team besides Garrett Wilson having a good week. But it's just him and Q. The rest of his team is just struggling hardcore. So hopefully he I don't know if he's going to do anything. I mean, Watson obviously was the last minute sub with Richardson being ruled out and things like that. So, but the Jets offense, like he has Braylon and Garrett, so he kind of lives and dies by that. And then CD's just not performed yet this year. So he has a good team, but it's just like it needs it to perform. And then Nat's a sneaky 4-1 right now. I think like a lot of the league is sleeping on her. So she put up a good week again this week. No like crazy performers, but a good amount. Like her kicker and defense again, a good amount of points. And then the Rashawn Johnson pickup, I think, was a good pickup. I mean, he obviously got 2 touchdowns. Didn't have much rushing yards for those 2 touchdowns. So another good win for Nat.
Yeah, who knew that we'd be living in a fantasy world where people's kickers are outperforming their quarterbacks on a regular basis in our league right now?
It's been wild.
Except mine. Even when my quarterback puts up 12 points.
We all called this one correctly. Fortunately for us, unfortunately for Micah.
The Bears. Back-to-back dubs. I mean, we'll get into the trade, I guess, with Jonesy. We can look through the players that he added to the team. But Mitch, back-to-back wins out of the gutter of our basement. But I think, obviously, his living and dying by the Bears. I mean, DJ Moore and DeAndre both had great weeks, and the Bears defense. So, like, he had 70 points from those 3 players alone, which kind of carried his team. And then Jonesy had a solid week, too. It's kind of like Ben and Josh's team, like, put up a good amount of points. He would have beat a lot of teams in our league, but lost by a few points. So he didn't lose that many points with Fields. I think he lost like 1.5 points, which wouldn't have gotten the win. Drake obviously had a great game. Olave having a dud really hurt him this week. So, and then JJ only putting up 12 points. Like, if that's you're trading a lot of players away for that one player to put up 12 points, is my opinion. So it's like hopefully JJ can have some breakout weeks coming up where it kind of carries him. But I think you said he has a bye this coming week, so.
He had England
navigates
game against the Jets, right, and then a bye this upcoming week.
Yeah,
and he benched Scary Terry for Olave, and if he had started Scary Terry, he would have won. So that hurts.
Definitely hurts. So I was like, I do some side betting. I had Olave getting at least 25 yards. I thought that was conservative, and he did not. And like this is a close matchup. So if Olave performs as he should, this should have been a win for Jonesy.
Didn't Shaheed have a really good game too, ironically? Or at least he caught like a deep ball or two.
Touchdown again, yeah.
I think that most of us were disappointed with the outcome of this one.
Yeah, that's why I said no to start. I think Jonesy might have ruined my week.
Ruined your week? Did you have a perfect week going? Here, let's see.
You did.
So going into the week.
Jonesy.
You could have gone 7-0. Would have been the first 7-0 in 2-timers pick'em history.
Wow.
Instead, just going a measly 6-1.
Oh, Jonesy went 6-1 with me.
I thought didn't I go
Jonesy-
7-0 1 week or no?
No, you went 6-1. At least this season, you've gone 6-1 so far. You're still leading our season picks by quite a bit. I'm barely above 500. You and Josh are a little bit more up there, but Maresco, you are currently healthily in the lead on season pick'em. So
Kevin,
going
do you
into
7-0?
Say again?
You think you can go 7-0 this next week?
No.
You can go and say
I would think I was like the first one out for our pick'ems. I literally went 0-3. Speaking of like on a serious, we should start another.
I would start another Survivor. There's like 2 people left.
no, absolutely not. We are not starting another Survivor. Actually,
We had a
let's
fourth
get past
strike.
this slide, and we'll go to this slide real quick, which is the current Survivor. There's only 3 of us left.
Look,
Josh, you and I both have 2 strikes left, so we're doing pretty well. But this is how Survivor looks right now.
great job, Clarky.
Well, that was a nice little segue. I didn't even know you were next on that.
If I can't do well in fantasy, I'm gonna at least be competitive in Survivor.
It would be hilarious if I was the third and Matt was out. It was just the 3 of us left.
So,
Well, Matt's hanging on by a thread right now.
man, Cincinnati killed people week 1. Bunch of people chose Cincinnati.
That is correct, Ben. That is correct.
Yeah, Cincinnati fried people. Your what Philly specials pick set? Yeah,
Yeah.
you were 3 and done. That's rough.
Ooh,
Thought I was safe picks. Same with, some of these teams just really underperformed.
yeah. Ooh.
Yeah. I mean, interesting also to see, like, Josh, you and I have had, one similar pick so far, being the Chargers? And aside from that, we've chosen all differently, too, even though we are the 2 that are left at the top right now.
Yeah.
It's posting as my company.
Human Connections. Human Connections is in here. Let's go. But yeah, so who knows? Maybe if Josh and I get eliminated, we run a second one for the second half of the season. But for now, we'll see how long we can carry on.
We're going all the way, baby. So we're going all the
Right. We'll see. Going back to this, these are the results of last week's picks. We had a number of people do pretty well. The best 2 being Maresco. I guess David also had a good week, but he was not on the call. So I think we each wagered $2, and both Jonesy and Maresco were 6-1. So
Josh,
I think what
not
will
me.
have happen.
Not me.
Oh, sorry, Joshy. Yeah. Josh and Jonesy were 6-1. So I think Maresco and I's $2 will go to Josh and Jonesy respectively. So you'll be $2 richer or $4 richer if we have a pot theoretically.
Give it all to Jonesy.
You want to give all 8 to Jonesy as a guest?
All of it to Jonesy.
So you
All
get
right,
$6.
I'll text
right?
Dave. Well, yeah, 6. I mean, it's if we had a pot theoretically, there would be $8 in the pot. It won't come out of Jonesy's. He'll just get 6. But yeah.
He had what did Olave have, like 1 target or 1 catch yesterday, I think?
Two catches for 10 yards.
Yeah. So that's brutal. Like Olave
pretty bad.
is usually pretty consistent. So that's basically what sunk Jonesy. So give him all the money.
Well, we'll send out the next round of picks here in a second when we go through our picks. Everyone is going to be up to win some fab. This was the first week that no one went negative. Everyone was 4-3 or better in pick'em. So either a lot of one-sided matchups or just good picking in general. We already went through our Survivor. Other housekeeping is weekly fab. The category this week was the running back with the fewest points, and there were a number of contenders in the 2 to 3 point range, unfortunately, but the winner was
I think Hannah has.
no,
Hannah.
this isn't Ben. This is Hannah. I didn't update the bottom of the slide. My fault. The rest of it's right except for that bit. This goes to Hannah. Hannah had Zeke
I was like,
and started
doesn't have
Zeke.
Zeke.
I forgot to update it. Yes, Ben. It's Hannah. Correct. So well done, Hannah, for getting additional fab. Some consolation type, for not winning your match, for being competitive. But before we continue, we have our Philadelphia supporting friend over here who's on the call with a Carson Wentz jersey on.
Interesting.
Josh, do you have any questions, any type of general interview for our guests this weekend, other than how much he wants for different players on his roster?
Yeah. Clearly, yeah. You gunning for next year already, Kevin, at this point?
Maybe not. I was saying I'm getting all the bye weeks out of the way for my good players, and I'll hopefully make a late season run, but still got a few more weeks, I think, before the trade deadline if I want to, actually start thinking about next year. But it's starting to look pretty grim. I'm not optimistic about my matchup this week either.
Yeah.
He's you're one win out of 6th place, and 17th make the playoffs.
So I'm saying if I lose this week, I'll be 1-5. But that's still, if I can rally some consistent points, which I think my team looks good on paper. It's just not working, and I feel good about it. But
right, yeah. Well, let's dive into some of these questions here. When was the first time? What year that you played fantasy football?
First year played fantasy football. I have to look back at my Yahoo profile, but I want to say it was something like 2006 or 5, maybe a little earlier.
Really?
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, so it dates
04.
I just looked at your profile. It says since 04.
Oh, 4. I was
04.
close. Okay.
Do you remember any of the players that you had on your roster then? Like any big names or anything? McNabb, maybe?
Not even a 1.
Josh getting deep here.
Yeah. Couldn't tell you.
Can I tag onto this question, Josh? I apologize if you're going to ask this.
No.
Weggy, throughout your 20 years, 2 decades of fantasy playing now, do you have a preferred fantasy platform?
Yeah, I definitely prefer Yahoo. I mean, I'm mainly either Yahoo or ESPN. I haven't really tried CBS or any of the others per se. I've heard there's some benefits to others, but Yahoo is definitely my preferred platform for sure.
Can I bust in with a question?
Yeah, go for it.
Why was your
Bust
first
away.
team? Why was your first team named Vic Rockers in 2004?
Vic Rockers, was it?
That was what it was called. 2004.
I mean, going back to your initial question, why are you an Eagles fan? I was at one point an Eagles, Titans, and Falcons fan at one point, just because McNabb, and Vic. And obviously, when Vic was prime, everybody was wanting to be him and watch him. I was actually watching there's a black quarterback special on Amazon Prime, and I was watching that, and just that was big for me. I was a huge fan of his, but obviously.
Your second team name was Black Lightning.
I don't even remember these team names, honestly. You could be making these up.
No, that's what it was.
I'm 100% changing my team name.
To Black Lightning.
Oh, that's good. Yahoo keeps a good record. You just click on your profile, you can go all the way to your teams.
Wow.
I was going to ask some questions about what you thought about your team this year, but I feel like we've kind of already covered that. You feel like are there any big surprises that you've seen in the league this year? Things that have just kind of caught you off guard, whether it's somebody who's higher up in the standings, lower in the standings, stuff like that, or...
I mean, Ryan, I think has shocked me. I just remember his team last year. Obviously, he was new to the league, so he didn't quite understand all the nuances. But that contrasting from last year is just comeback player of the year based on. And I know when we initially drafted, I think it was pretty consensus. Anyone and anyone could win this league based on what people's teams look like on paper, and then. It just seems like him and Maresco are running away with it.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like the one thing too about Ryan's team is I think he kept Alvin Kamara. He got him pretty cheaply. I feel like last year because of his 4-game suspension. He's the RB1 right now. I think that could have changed. Maybe he was RB1 going into this week, but I know he had a pretty bad matchup.
Probably. It was like, I know Alvin Kamara had like that 41-point game, but it's like he must be pretty close with Saquon because Saquon is pretty consistently out, like had been Saquon. So
Yeah.
Yeah, Saquon's been insane this year.
And then my last question for you is, what's a totally useless talent that you have?
totally useless talent that I have. I don't know.
Like he's like, all my talents are pretty useful.
Yeah, I'm pretty talented at fantasy football team names, clearly, but
Not very good at fantasy.
Black
football.
Lightning, and then trolling other people's team names.
I mean, if we've got 2 decades of Yahoo fantasy name history on Waggy, I might be changing my team name every week.
It's pretty easy to find.
So, no,
Actually,
you're very talented. That's what I'm taking away from this.
Okay, thank you, appreciate it.
Well, let me ask this, Waggy. Since you are now unless I'm mistaken and you've moved randomly, a northern New York native, correct?
Southwestern, technically, New York.
Okay. But kind of up there generally.
Kind of up there, yeah.
And you like mobile quarterbacks. Are you going to become a Bills fan all of a sudden?
I mean, they're obviously my second team by affiliation with my wife, but and I have some Bills stuff, but yeah. I mean, Bills fan, obviously, if it's like it's Eagles versus Bills, I'm going Eagles, but every other time, if they're on, I'm rooting for them.
Fair.
There you go.
Fair enough.
Kevin, your best fantasy year. Do you know what it is?
No.
2021.
Really?
Really?
In your 3 leagues, you won 2 titles and came in second.
Was that a
No.
year that he took over for Josh?
Must have
I think that was the year he took over for Josh.
been. Yeah. I knew something. I don't know. Got lucky.
Those are your only 2 titles in fantasy football, though. So, in 20 years.
Pretty embarrassing.
Really capitalized on those COVID years. Waggy came alive during COVID.
A lot of extra time to do research, right?
Well, typically at this point in time, we would roll into our sponsor for the week and kind of give everyone on the call an opportunity to, get themselves some new product. But we have a slightly more serious matter to address this week. There's been some legal action involved with Rockets in Your Base. There was a notice sent in to the league that I'll just read out here. It was a legal complaint has been submitted to Rocket in Your Base league office and is now being formally presented to the owner of Go Directly to Jail. The offended party is requiring that Go Directly to Jail logo licensing fee be increased from $0 to $3 a fab per week, naming rights for mid-tier teams aside. If the second team in the league wants to rip off the likeness of the number 1 team in the league, there will be legal and financial ramifications. There will also be a future legal petition submitted to the league to grant restitution for the first 5 weeks of the season. And the offended party is willing to settle for $2 a fab a week if that's the league decision. Failure to comply with these requests will result with the team owner going. So I'm sure you can imagine who perhaps submitted these allegations. Maresco, would you like to respond at all?
I have 2 responses. Ryan, you can go fuck yourself. And 2, change your fucking team name. And 3, come at me, bro. My lawyer will be in touch. That's all I gotta say.
I like that.
When do you play, Ryan? Is that happening? Is that happening this year?
Let's see. I don't know. I'll tell you. Yeah, week 10.
Ooh, looking forward to that. Good one. Top 2
Week
dollars.
10. There's a couple of 1 and 4 or 1 and 5 teams that'll be pushing to be in the first place position by week 10. Just give Waggy and I a chance. You'll see.
Yeah.
Hey, you never know. Don't give up.
Don't ever give up.
Well, on top of, before we jump into picks, we can also do fab for this week. I went ahead and pre-filled the picker wheel so that we can just make it quick and easy. Mainly defense and special teams. This is what I got going. We always got to give Mika a chance, but we'll just spin really quick to see what the fab category will be this week.
Interesting.
That's good timing with that comment.
I was gonna say it lined up pretty good, huh?
Right.
All right, so if your team gets the closest to 6.9 points, your team defense and special teams, you will win $5 of fab. So Hannah got $5 of fab this last week. Could be you this week. Could be anyone in the league. And speaking of fab or ways to earn fab, we have Are You Smarter Than a Two-Timer, where you can compete in league pick'em, and if you beat us and beat everyone on the call, you get our fab wager for the week. So before we hop into picks and I send out the link, are you guys willing to wager some fab, and if so, how much? Because we have to agree prior to hopping into this.
I'm good with whatever you guys.
We wagered 2 last week.
It's up
Stick
to
with
3,
two.
maybe.
Do 3 or 2.
I'll do whatever you guys agree on. I'm happy. I'm
Josh,
happy
2 or
to do
3?
2 or 3.
I'll do 3.
Let's do 3.
Pots are getting bigger.
Alrighty.
$1 a week added.
This is your best chance at winning, Kevin.
I know, right? God.
Send this out. Pardon me.
That's
All right. Thank you, sir. Let's go through our picks. Let me pull them up on the Yahoo side, and then we can go through here. So, start with a little Dean rivalry game. My brother and I are playing each other. So we'll go guess first. We'll go Weggy, me, Maresco, Josh will be our picking order. And make sure you lock your picks in on your phone as we're going through this. We're not gonna
As
go
we're
back
going
to
through
the
it?
video to check. Well, yeah, I mean, or after the fact. Just don't change them from what you say on the video.
That makes sense. I'm gonna go with David.
Oof. That hurts, Weggy, but I
I'm
can't blame
sorry. Just have that gut feeling. I don't know.
you. I'm going to believe in my new acquisitions. I finally get to witness David Montgomery this week, so I'm going to go with myself. Might be a bad idea, but we'll see. Maresco, it's you.
I'm also going to go Clark. I think AJ Brown has a big game, but I think Clark's.
That's why I kind of went Dave.
yeah. I'm going Clark.
Let's go. So, Weggy, an opportunity for a breakaway, at least on the call as of right now.
Yeah.
Our next matchup, we will go Matt versus Josh. For this one, it's really I think the Cincinnati is kind of in a groove. I think that offense keeps on doing well. Sorry, Joshy, I'm going Matt.
I don't want your apology. Keep it yourself.
Maresco.
I am going to go. This is tough. Yeah, I got to go Matt.
I'm going Matt.
Yeah, I'm going with myself.
Yourself.
Yep.
Josh with the breakaway, at least on the call. Then we have a very interesting matchup. Weggy versus Hannah. This one goes to you first, Josh.
I'll go Weggy.
Weggy gets you next.
Hannah's got some buys this week.
Oh,
She also has. She hasn't put in.
She hasn't updated her thing. She's got
Saquon and
Saquon.
Devontae coming.
Yep. I still believe in the.
You believe in me with Tyreek and Kyron on by? I'm going Hannah.
Yeah. I'll
So
switch.
my big question with Hannah's team is who's she going to start at quarterback? And I mean,
defense.
granted, not like Sam Darnold had a good, defense and quarterback just got to change out. So, not like Sam Darnold had a huge week last week, but that's a little concerning. I think
Well, Adams is probably not going to play this week, right? Like,
I'm going to go Weggy. I'm going to go the guest on the call. Don't let me
Yep.
down, Kevin.
Even after I didn't pick him.
I'm also going Wiggy.
Wow.
All right. Sweep.
That's exciting.
Or no.
No.
Kevin, you picked
Picked
it.
No,
against
I
himself.
picked against me.
You too chose Hannah. It's a split. It's the exact opposite of a sweep.
No. I chose Weggy.
He chose Wiggy,
Oh,
but he was about to switch over.
I was getting rid of
Weggy as the only the guest on the call, the only one choosing against himself.
Correct.
He's gonna bench all his players.
That's what I have.
All right, this one should be easy. We don't need to take a lot of time here. Micah versus Dan, unless there's some big buys that I'm not aware of. This should be, what is it, you first, Weggy?
Damn.
No, Josh.
Oh, Mika. Mika. I'll go with Daniel.
Yeah, I'm going Dan as well.
Damn.
Daniel.
Alrighty. That was easy. This one also probably not, although, I don't know, this could be an interesting game. I think this is to me first. Here's the tough thing. Like, I feel like this should be a very even matchup if Ben's team performs the way that I think that most of his players should perform.
Mhm.
But I just don't know, like, if Mooney's going to have another good game or if Mason or Bijan are going to kind of have duds. Probably not Mason, but I think I got to go Ryan. Keep it in the family. Keep it rolling. The undefeated team. I'm going Ryan.
I'm gonna go Ryan. I think that Ravens Redskins game's gonna be a shootout.
I'm going Ryan.
I'm going with Ben.
Joshy
Go with
and
Ben.
Weggy. I think my internet's a little choppy right now. By the way,
Yeah,
fellas,
it
so
is.
just
Yeah.
push
I'm going
through if it's
Ryan.
bad.
Kevin's
No.
going Ryan,
Josh went Ben.
and I'm going with Ben. I think Bijan Robinson is a nice little matchup against the Carolina Panthers.
I did the Ben breakaway last week and it did not work out, so I can't pick him again.
It'll work this week. Jeez, you're gonna be
Moving on to the other undefeated team in the league versus the Bears. This is you first, Maresco, by the way.
Well, I'm picking myself.
Josh.
Maresco.
I'm going Maresco.
Weggy.
Maresco.
How do we feel about the Bears versus Jacksonville?
I think the Bears defense is going to shut them down.
I wonder if the Bears could have another big performance through all of Mitch's players. But I'm going Maresco. Which leads us to our final matchup of the week. Jonesy, without Justin Jefferson this week, who is on bye, versus Natalie. And this goes to Josh, you first.
I'm gonna go with Jonesy. Natalie's got some buys this week. Kelsey's out. Collins is hurt as well. I think he's week to week with a hamstring injury, so probably not. I feel like
And
he's
Chubb's probably coming back for Cleveland, so Ford may not be effective.
possible.
Yeah, worth pointing out that as stacked as Ryan's team is, he also has Chubb in his IR spot right now.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I'm going Jonesy.
Yeah, I have a feeling the Browns are gonna utilize that. 21-day window though, for practice or whatever. I feel like they're gonna use all 3 weeks probably.
Yeah, I don't think Chubb comes back this week.
I'm also going Jonesy and submitting my picks now.
Yeah, I'm going Jonesy.
Sweet. Well, that is picks made for the week. Apologies for the internet difficulties or choppiness on my side of things, but that's all we got planned. I think all of our orders of business are covered.
How dare you be in a hurricane?
Yeah.
You know,
Another one.
Another.
another one. They're also saying there's a system in the Caribbean right now that might come through post Milton. I mean, they can't really ascertain exactly the track, but it's a possibility that there's another one in like a week from now, which is absolutely insane.
All right.
I mean, we've been very lucky and blessed. I don't know what some of the areas just getting thrashed. So on that depressing note,
Yeah.
hope
Good luck
everyone
in football this week.
has a good fantasy week.